guys, I'm back today with another video, but today's video is going to be a little bit different than usual. Instead of my typical cooking videos, I am doing a Q&A. I have quite a few new faces around here. I posted on my community page asking if any of you guys had any questions, so I'll be answering those along with some questions I got on Instagram and TikTok. And if you're interested, I'm down to earth Jill on all those platforms. But first, I need a drink because I get parched very easily when I'm talking. I have my water and coffee. Feel free to get your drink and just sit down and listen to this video. Without further ado, we'll just get right into the questions. I have them written down on my phone here that is ages old, broken, and needs to be replaced. So the first question is, wow, love to hear why and when you started your holistic journey. What were you doing before that? I was always into eating healthy and the outdoors. Even though I was not brought up on the most healthy diet, I always gravitated towards eating healthy. It was just something innate in me. But when I left high school and went to uni and traveled a little bit, I would say I still had those core values of being healthy and living a more holistic lifestyle. Although at that time, I didn't really know what holistic meant. I was more into material goods and I thought I wanted like a six-figure job with a fancy title. So even though I did still eat healthy and go outdoors a lot and do hiking and stuff like that, I would say my future goals and plans were definitely different. But with more travel and experiences to the world, I think my core values in life changed. Instead of working towards a job title, my goals in life kind of switched to actually living life, seeing the world. And then at that point, I didn't want children, I didn't want a family, but I would say I became less materialistic, more minimal, and just put my priorities into my health and experienced life. And that's how I live now. Long answer short to that question, I guess I would say I was always on my journey to a holistic lifestyle, but I think it was definitely in my late teens, maybe around 19, early 20s, that I really shifted towards a materialistic to a more holistic and what is the bigger picture of life. What are my budget pantry staples? I would say legumes are a big one. So chickpeas, black beans, also lentils, and then some cheap staple spices would be like garlic, onion powder, salt, pepper, and then some of its form of veggie stock, which you can actually make yourself. I have a video on that coming out soon. But really, with those few things, you can make so many different versions of foods. With the beans, you can make black bean burgers, you can make tacos out of it, quesadillas, you can make desserts out of it. And with chickpeas, you can make hummus, you can add it in stews, you can add it in curries. Lentils, you can add that into so many things. And it's not only cheap, all those things, but they're also very filling. And all those things have fiber and protein. And if you're living on a budget or like a plant-based diet, those things are great because they have protein in them. And if you pair some of them together, it will make a complete protein. They're very cheap sources of protein versus, I know, animal meat. My partner Kai, he's not vegetarian like me and Makai. So he'll get meat maybe once a week, and it is so expensive. We save so much money by eating primarily plant-based. This is a juicy one. I think this is one I get a lot. Do we think we will have any more kids? That is one I've been contemplating a lot in the last year. If you don't know my story, which is, I talk about this in my first video I posted about how I found out I was pregnant, but it was a surprise to say the least. I was not planning it. I thought I never wanted kids, or if I did, I was like, I'll worry about that in my late 30s, just because I had so many goals and ambitions that I didn't really want to even think about having kids. That quickly changed when I found out I was pregnant with Makai. And when I was pregnant, I was like, oh, this is probably going to be the only child that I'm going to have. But now that he is a year and a half, which is crazy to say, I can't believe he's that old. Me and Kai are talking about what it looks like, our future, and if we want more. And when that conversation comes up, I'm more thinking about Makai. I think I would be content with just having Makai. However, I came from a big family. I had 5 siblings, so 6 of us in total. And I just loved that atmosphere of having siblings. And even to this day, I would have to say my siblings are probably my best friends. And I just want Makai to experience that. If he ever goes through anything, it's nice to have a sibling. Say, for example, me and Kai passed away, or he was going through something mentally tough. Sometimes it's nice to have a sibling to talk to rather than a parent. So I think we are thinking about having one more at least for Makai, so he's not an only child. And I know some people say they love being an only child, but Kai was brought up as an only child. He has siblings, but they're 20 years older than him. And he said he always missed that growing up, having a sibling. So I think that's something that we are talking about for Makai. I would love to know what a monthly, weekly grocery budget looks like for your family, taking into consideration that you will buy some items in bulk and some items won't be purchased weekly but will eventually be purchased. Do you have a set amount that you stay within and save for the larger bulk purchases? Because we make so much from scratch and we really, on a week-to-week basis, don't have a lot we have to buy from the grocery store. We don't really follow a strict budget because our grocery bill is so small. Say per month, it's roughly $200. We probably go to the grocery store every 2 weeks and spend roughly $100, so that's roughly $50 a week. Some weeks we spend almost nothing, and then other weeks we spend more depending if we run out of certain things. Say we run out of olive oil, well that's a big purchase there, or we run out of our bulk flour, that's a big purchase. But I would say on average it's $100 every 2 weeks. Because we make so much stuff from scratch and because we buy so much things from bulk, we're not having to go out and buy flour and sugar every 2 weeks or every month. Those things we literally only buy once every couple of months. We don't buy bread rarely. We don't buy milk or oat milk. So a lot of the purchases that you have to go to the store and buy every week, we don't have. The main thing that we buy on a week-to-week basis or every 2 weeks is fresh veggies because we do like to incorporate that into our diet, but we do try to eat relatively seasonally. Honestly, we don't buy a lot of fresh fruit this time of year because it's so expensive and it's all imported. So what we do is in the summer, my parents have a plum tree, so we picked a lot of those plums and then we went to local farms and picked things like blueberries and strawberries and then froze them all. Right now, since it's still cold, we don't gravitate towards a lot of fruit and fresh veggies, more in cooked dishes. And I guess that's just a long-winded answer to say we don't follow a strict budget, but if I had to give a number to it, $200 a month, give or take. When big purchases come up, any extra money we have, we put in our savings account. So when say we have to buy the flour, we have the money for it. It's not like we have to sacrifice something else. And this says also would like to know if you use a natural stain remover for your clothes. I have a toddler and baby and have yet to fully transition to all natural stain remover. I do borax and utilize the sun in the summertime, but it doesn't work so well in the Canadian winter months. I hear you. It's definitely hard in the Canadian winter months. We always hang our clothes outside, but not in the winter because they just freeze. To answer your questions, no, I don't really have any tips. For us, we don't really own a lot of nice clothes. And with Makai, we get everything secondhand. So if he's messy and gets stains on it, it doesn't really matter. So we don't really do anything to prevent or get the stains out, except like you said, the sun. We utilize the sun, especially with the cloth diapers. Another thing that I've tried before is lemon juice help. You can squeeze some lemon juice and mix it with water and then soak whatever it is that has a stain on it and then hang it in the windowsill and then that can help. But besides that, I don't really have any tips. I'm sorry, we just live with the stains. And then this one says, what do you do for holidays and birthdays in a way of gifts on a budget? I always find that tricky because I love giving gifts and shop around, look for sales, but it still adds up so quickly. In our family, we don't really give a lot of gifts. What we'll do is we'll do Secret Santa on Christmas. We have a big family, so instead of getting everyone a gift, we'll do the Secret Santa thing, and then you get one person a gift, and then someone gets you a gift. And when it comes to other things like birthdays, or if I feel like I want to get someone a gift, I just do homemade gifts. I bake and cook a lot, so I'll give people bread and cookies, or the kids homemade Play-Doh. I'm trying to learn to crochet, so hopefully soon I'll be giving some crochet gifts. So I just think depending who you're giving the gift to, because I think you would know what they like and what they don't like, but I would say just try to make something homemade. Yes, it still costs money to make cookies for the ingredients and things like that, but it's way more cost effective So that's kind of how we save money, is limit the gift giving. And then for the gifts we do give, we usually focus on homemade. And then with me and Kai, we don't really do gift giving. We just do more like a service. The gifts we do give him, we get it off of Facebook Marketplace. So this one is the one that I find really hard. How do you handle going over to family, friends' homes and them offering processed foods to your son? Do you let it go or do you have a conversation? The only place he really goes to that this would happen is my mom's and dad's house. Like I said, I was brought up on a pretty processed diet. We ate a lot of healthy food too, but a lot of processed snacks. And my dad still buys a lot of processed snacks for my other nieces and nephews. For me, diet is something I value a lot, especially at this age. I think it can be so influential on their future and their future taste preferences. So there's definitely been moments where I make it clear what I want my son to not eat. We try to stay away from most processed foods and anything with a lot of added sugar or any food dyes. There's been a couple times I go over there or he comes home and he smells like maple syrup because my dad buys these Elf maple syrup goldfish crackers. And it's one of those things I just had to let go my anxiety a little bit about it. And because I had this all or nothing thought that if he ate those, it's going to ruin him for the rest of life because that's all he's going to want is like sweet things. So first of all, I try to change my mindset and say, you know what, it's okay for a treat once in a while. He knows at home he's not allowed those things. If he goes there and every Friday he gets a small bowl of it, I can't freak out over it. What I could do is stop bringing him there. But then Makai really enjoys his time there because my mom lives next to my sister, so he gets to spend time with his cousins and he loves all the people because here we're out in the country, so he doesn't see as many people. But at the same time, I did have the conversation with my parents saying I would really appreciate it for snacks to give him something healthier, and if you want it, I can pack him a healthier snack that you can give him. I think my dad just likes giving treats because who doesn't like giving treats? And when you give your kid ice cream or something, they get happy. I think for most people, if you have a serious conversation with your values, they will listen. But it's definitely something I found hard, especially in today's society. A healthy diet is considered a diet. Eating healthy shouldn't be considered a diet. And then if you don't want to give your kids processed foods, you're considered weird and too extreme and it's their childhood, they should experience it. But at the end of the day, I don't think it should be that way. I think it should be more normalized to be giving your child a healthy food. That's why we have so many issues like obesity and the children with all these health issues is because we're just feeding them with pure sugar, pure processed diet with like chicken nuggets and fries, in my opinion. And all those things I think is okay in moderation, but for my family and for my son, I prefer him not to eat those things. What is Prince Edward Island like? Were you homeschooled? I was not homeschooled. Like I said, I had a very traditional upbringing. What is PEI like? It's very beautiful here. The beaches, we're an island, so we have lots of beaches and they're very nice. However, the weather here, I'm not a big fan of. You get like 2 months of nice warm weather and then 10 months of just cold. And I'm an outdoors person. I definitely prefer the heat over the cold. So I find that very hard, especially in the winters. It can get really cold here and it's just harder to stay out for a long period of time, even if you're dressed properly. And I just find that hard, especially with Makai, because in the summer we'll be out for hours and hours and hours. But in January and February, there was like 2 months there where it was a negative 20 or lower. And so we would go out for like 10, 20 minutes, but like his face would just get so red, even if it was covered up. And I was just always worried about him getting frostbite. Maybe that's another anxiety of mine, but you would see no other kids outside basically except for me and Makai. So I find that a really hard thing. And then another thing too is it's pretty flat here and there's not as much diversity when it comes to the ecology here or like plants and stuff like that. You don't really get like a spring. It's kind of like an extended winter. And then when it does get a little warmer, which the snow finally melted and it's like the end of April, it just becomes like a muddy mess. You don't really get that beautiful spring where everything's blooming. So up until I lived in Vancouver, spring was my least favorite season. And now spring is probably one of my more favorite seasons, but not here. Another pro to living on PEI, it's still affordable to buy housing and it's relatively slow pace of life, which I like that for Makai. I would say PEI is a beautiful place to visit in the summer, but to live here all year round, it just can get very isolating in the winter. Are you a Christian? Any special plans for the future? How do you stay fit? How do you find contentment? Did you build your own pantry shelving? So am I Christian? No, I would say I'm more spiritual than religious. I wouldn't really put a label on anything. Any special plans for your future? I would really love to travel with Makai and show him the world. So even though I love this type of life of being at home, it's like cozy and like making food. I love cooking and baking. I love being in a stationary place, which I never thought I would say before, but with Makai, I really value it. But I would love to incorporate that with more traveling with Makai. I would like to take Makai backpacking, especially in Central America. I would love to learn Spanish and then take him there when he's still young and just go see things with him, experience the world. And I would love it to live eventually in a different place with him, whether that be Vancouver or if you guys don't know, Kai's from Kauai. So I would love to maybe live there for a time being. So I don't know, I'm very open to so many different things in the future, but I think for now, in the time being, our plan is to stay here, save money, pay off our mortgage, and do all those fun things in a couple years down the line. How do you stay fit? I would say I would stay fit by not just having a diet to look a certain way or working out to look a certain way. For me, it's just really incorporated into my lifestyle. So it's not something I'm going to do for 5 weeks and then stop. It's just the way of life for me. So we eat really healthily because it's how I've been doing it for over a decade now, and it's just what makes me feel good. And then when it comes to movement, is again just incorporate it in my life. Me and Makai go outside 2 to 3 times a day, especially now that it's warmer and that he's walking. We'll usually do one walk where he's walking, one walk where he's in the stroller, and then sometimes we'll go out a third time and just like play around somewhere. Even in the winter, the dead of winter when it was -20, we would go for a walk. Even if it was just 10 minutes, we'd still make the effort of going out there. And then in the morning too, what I've been doing for the last 4, 5, 6 months is after Makai's changed, had breakfast, all that, I'll do a workout with him. Sometimes that means doing it for 5 minutes and then he's cranky that day and wants my attention and that's it. And then sometimes I'll get a 40-minute yoga session, but it's always interrupted with him crawling on me and throwing balls at me. But that doesn't stop me. I'm not having the belief, the limited mindset that I can't do anything because I have a baby. I just do it with him. I'm always moving, and even if it's not something that looks like, I don't know, a yoga session, I'm playing with my baby on the floor. I'm gardening, I'm doing dishes. So it's just incorporating like daily movement, and it's also not doing it with the goal of anything, just the goal of feeling healthy and not doing anything too extreme. Because I think in my past before having Makai, I would do all these extreme HIIT workouts or workout for 2 hours every single day. And I think that's also not healthy. So it's kind of having a balance with it. But no matter what the day looks like, doing some form of movement. So how do I find contentment? And I think honestly, having Makai is really what made me content in life. Just seeing things from his eyes and experiencing it from him and slowing down and just watching him really, because everything's new to them. So something so little, like when I let him walk down the street all by himself, he gets so happy just to walk because he's just learning to walk and it's so fun for him. He lives in the moment and he lives by his emotions. He's happy, he's sad, he's not thinking about the future, he's thinking about the now. And I think just slowing down and witnessing that, I think just being content is slowing down and seeing things from his eyes and just appreciating life. It's easy to get into the headset of always wanting more and more and more. But when you look back and see how far you come and the life you live, and within that, I think we take so much for granted and we're always, all of us are striving for more and more and more. But literally just the ability to walk and be healthy is something to be so grateful for. To have a roof over your head, to have food. Yes, you might not be a millionaire and can't afford a private jet or to go on a fancy vacation, but a lot of people have less than us. A lot of people can't even walk, or they struggle with health issues every day that they can't get out of bed. So to be grateful for the little things, I think, is what brings me contentment in my day-to-day life. And I have those negative moments where I'm feeling depressed or I feel like this is not the life I wanted some days. I know that's hard to say, but it's the truth. I have days like that. But I don't let those days define all my days. Pick myself out of that moment and just reflect on what I'm thinking and remember how lucky I am to have this life that I'm living. How did you build your open pantry shelving? Well, I actually just did a video on what's in my pantry. I'll link it in the description. But one of them is just a plain old bookshelf. We just nailed it to the wall so it's safe for Makai. And then the other one that's above my oven is actually the old medicine cabinet in the bathroom, but we redid our bathroom because our floor was literally rotting through. It was disgusting. And the bathroom is very small. So it just seemed out of place in there, and it just made it feel even smaller. But I love the raw wood look. I was just thinking what we could use it for, and then I thought, let's put it in the kitchen because it would be perfect for a spice rack, and we need more room for spices because our drawers were overflowing with spices and it was not organized. And if you don't know me, I'm a very organized person. Everything has to be in their spot, and I'm very visual, so I like to see it all. Don't be eating that. So we took the doors off of it and put it above our oven, and it fits perfectly. What are some foods that you make every week? Curries. We make a curry every week. Soup, especially in these colder months. Yes, it's April, the end of April, but it's still freezing here. When it comes to breakfast, a lot of granolas. We should make pizza every Friday. It's kind of like a tradition. So we eat a lot of pizza, potato dishes. We still have potatoes from my neighbors, so I've been making a lot of potato dishes recently. For lunch, if we don't have leftovers, one thing that I make a lot is Buddha bowls. Did you plan to be a stay-at-home mom, and did you plan to go back to work? Like I mentioned in one of the previous questions, I never thought I would be a mom, so I never really thought about being a stay-at-home mom. But I know when me and Kai actually did talk about it in the past, before I had my revelation about not really wanting a big career. But we talked about jokingly, oh, I would be the stay-at-home dad and I would be the work-at-mom boss babe, the boss girl, and I would just stay at home with the babies. And then when I had Makai, I honestly thought I would have to go back to work relatively soon just because the cost of living. Kai actually wasn't working when Makai was born either because he was on disability. We are very fortunate. We were staying at my parents' house when we had Makai, so bills were very minimal. And then when we bought this house, I can stay at home because with Kai's wage, we have enough to pay the mortgage, the gas, we don't have a car bill, and the food. And then also in Canada here, when you have a child, you get a monthly allowance basically from the government. So no, I never planned to be a stay-at-home mom. Originally, I definitely thought in my past if I ever became a mom, I would be back to work ASAP, but I think my values just have changed. I'd rather raise my own children and stay at home with them and make healthy food and follow my passions on my free time, whenever that is. Right now, it's when Makai sleeps, and do these videos rather than go to a job and let someone else raise my child. And I don't know, too, he's so little. The idea of dropping him off at a daycare just seems so hard for me. We were given the opportunity if we wanted to put him in daycare, but I just couldn't. And so I think naturally that feeling just has led me to become a stay-at-home mom. And I'm not sure if this will be a forever thing. I don't know if and when I have to go back to work, if I want to go back to work. We're just living day to day. And as of now, I can stay at home with our baby. But in the future, as cost of living rises, it might be one of those things where we have to sit down, have the conversation. And I, one day might have to go back to work, or maybe when he's older, I'll put him in the school system and I will want to go back to work. But right now, we're not really thinking far in the future. We try to live in the now and then take things on as they come. What does my partner do for work? I already mentioned that briefly, but he works at a food distributing center. And then the last one is a little bit different than some of the other ones, is my favorite herbs to grow. And this was actually asked by my friend on Instagram. And I would say that's so hard because I love growing all herbs. I self-study herbalism a little bit, definitely no expert, just a beginner. But because of that, I love herbs. They have so many uses and benefits. You can use them in cooking, medicinally, in your homemade products like shampoo and stuff like that. But I would have to say if I had to choose one, it would be rosemary. As of recently, I've been really into my homemade shampoo and conditioners and body wash, and just rosemary when it comes to those things have so many benefits for hair growth, hair strength. It has a nice smell. I like to use it in cooking as well, particularly in breads and crackers, and also infused with olive oil. That's all the questions for today. I hope I didn't talk your ear off. If you have any more questions, leave them down below and I can answer them in a future Q&A. Let me know if you guys like this style of video, like chit chat, just me sitting down, or what videos you want to see from me in the future, because I like to do videos that you guys want to see on top of all my typical cooking videos. Bye for now, guys. I'll see you next Wednesday. Makai's still sleeping for all that. Very surprised.